Excuse me. Can I disturb you a second?
No.
You could be a little bit nicer about it.
Keep quiet. In case you haven't noticed, we're somewhere that requires silence and tranquility.
Excuse me. Sir, please, just a moment.
Yes, what is it? I'm not deaf, you know.
I am sorry to disturb you in your work, sir, but...
This young Mammothus primigenius is barely 40,000 years old. Fantastic, wouldn't you say, miss?
Yes. Probably.
What do you mean, probably?
I don't know.
You don't know? Oh, you don't know, I see. What can I do for you, my dear child?
To tell you the truth, I don't know very much about mammoths, and I'm not here as a student. In fact, I'm a lawyer.
It's all right. Nobody is perfect. All the same, the study of the Pleistocene period is fascinating.
I'm sure it is, but I'm sorry to say my current mission is totally monopolizing my time. Another time, maybe.
Ah, that's what they all say. But anyway, let me present myself. I'm Cornelius Ponce, Emeritus Professor and Lecturer at the University of Barrockstadt. I'm proud to say that I'm head of the Department of Paleozoology at our university.
Kate Walker. Pleased to meet you. It wasn't really my intention to stop off here, but I'll confess, this university is really very impressive.
Ah, indeed. There's such a tradition of learning here, and so much knowledge, a real depth of culture, intelligence, and gray matter. I myself did my studies here and never left.
Actually, I'm here because I've been summoned by the rectors of the university.
Oh, I see. You must have made a mistake on your enrollment form.
Oh, no. I haven't come here to study. I have an important matter of inheritance to attend to. I have to find the heir.
And you hope you will find him here?
I'm not altogether sure. But you see, my train broke down coming into Barrockstadt station.
In that case, my dear, you must come to one of my lectures. Here's a question for you. Do you know what the Proboscidean order is?
The Probowhatian?
Ah, you see? There are gaps in your knowledge that need refreshing.
I feel I've lost my way a little here. I could really do with your help.
Oh, my dear child, you've chosen your moment. I absolutely must finish off my lecture for this afternoon.
It's a lecture about mammoths?
Oh, yes and no. More specifically, it is about their migration. Do excuse me, I need to concentrate.
To tell you the truth, I'm looking for Mr. Hans Voralberg. He's the sole heir of a very unusual factory. My company is in charge of negotiations for the takeover of this factory. At last word, he was living in Syberia. So, as soon as my train is ready, I'll be continuing my journey eastwards.
Syberia. Ah, Syberia. But what was it you said again?
Said what?
You mentioned a name. The person you are looking for.
Voralberg. Hans Voralberg. Do you know him?
Hans Voralberg. How could I forget him? Such an extraordinary fellow. So inventive. We shared a passion for mammoths, you know, and we bonded over this passion. Without it, I confess, I would have had little to do with an odd, ageless retard like Hans. At the time, we were both students. Well, sort of. Put it this way. Hans had special permission to attend paleontology lectures. You see, he didn't really have the necessary qualifications. In exchange, Hans did a few odd jobs around the university.
Your Hans Voralberg sounds uncannily like the one I'm looking for.
I'm not sure, my dear. Hans was above all questions of money and business. Just to imagine him running a factory, perish the thought.
Can you tell me a little bit more about him?
He was always a mystery to me. He never said very much, and never quite seemed to grasp what you said to him. He expressed himself instead through his incredible mechanical contraptions. His inventions, I admit, have been much appreciated by the university. The few times we really did talk, it was about his strange interest for mammoths and a doll. Some sort of doll that obsessed him.
A doll, you say?
Yes, he kept talking about it. One day he described it to me. A sort of children's toy. A miniature mammoth mounted by a maut. It appears he found it in a cave not far from his home. The event all sounds very dramatic. His account was slightly confused, but it awoke a great interest in me.
What do you mean?
To my knowledge, there was only one tribe who made figurines featuring a maut, and that tribe is the Yukols. They live in the farthest reaches of Syberia, and for them, the dolls constituted a sacred object, illustrating one of their central legends. How such a doll made the journey from the frozen Siberian north to a cave in the French Alps is a mystery to me. Even today, it is beyond my comprehension.
Have you considered that Hans Voralberg was maybe making it up? You said yourself he didn't seem to have all his mental facilities intact.
No, that's impossible. Hans couldn't invent a story like that. The doll is a sacred part of the Syberia legend. He described it to me in exact detail. Syberia itself is a chimera that paleontologists of the world are very fond of pursuing.
Arriving in Barrockstadt is an amazing experience. I've never seen such a station.
You came by train?
Yes, in a kind of clockwork train with a spring mechanism that winds down regularly.
You mean you drive a train? Young ladies of today never cease to amaze me.
Oh, no, I'm not the engineer. The train's engineer is actually an automaton. I am sorry, all this probably sounds very strange.
A clockwork train, driven by an automaton. I once knew a man long ago who could have invented such a train. It was he who designed the bandstand in the main square. To think that he was even capable of creating such a gadget. He was astounding, a true genius. But oddly, at the same time, he was also almost a child. It was as if his mental and physical evolution had definitively halted at the age of 10. Can you believe that?
Yes. I think I can believe that. At least I'm beginning to. My train stopped in a peculiar aviary. It's very odd. A lot of bird species seem to seek harbor there.
Ornithology is far from being my favorite subject, but I must concede that the station is the pride of the university. It was initially intended for teaching purposes, but then birds started arriving from all around the world. It seems that there are still rare species breeding there and flourishing.
Are there? Can you give me an example?
I have been told about a kind of bird with peculiar habits. Let's see now, the Amazon cuckoo, that's right. But, I'm so foolish, I can't remember what was so special about it. Just that its behavior is very peculiar.
The Amazon? Where's the Amazon? What is the Amazon?
I'm sorry, my dear, but one cannot learn everything in a lifetime. Specialization is the key to real knowledge. Why don't you pay a visit to our library?
Thank you very much. If I were to say Forest Sauvignon to you, what would you say?
Oh, let's see. Sauvignon. Sauvignon? I would say it's some kind of tropical shrub, don't you think?
We are talking about the same plant, then. It is a very rare shrub with small, juicy fruits. I found a book about the Amazon, and it says that there are even Sauvignon plants growing right here in Barrockstadt. You wouldn't know where, would you?
Amazon Sauvignon plants here? No, I don't think there are any. Highly implausible, but you should ask the station master. He is keeper of the greenhouse at our university, so he could tell you more than me.
Oh, thanks very much. I'll leave you in peace. I hope I haven't disturbed you too much.
Sorry? No, not at all, my dear child.
Hello.
You arrived by train, I see.
Yes, I've come from Valladolid.
It's been a long time since I've seen a train here. Students, did you bring students with you?
No, I traveled alone. Well, almost alone.
I remember around the start of fall, trains would bring kids from all around the world here to study zoology and botany, paleontology, and all that stuff. This was a great university.
And it isn't still great today, then?
Today, well,
Have you been the station master of Barrockstadt for a long time?
I've never had another job. Now, you tell me, are you in charge of this train?
No, I'm not sure.
So what's your thing here? You come here to do some bookworming over at the university?
Well, sort of. I'm always looking for new information.
Well, you don't seem to know a lot. And about that train, it's gonna get in the way if you leave it there, that's for sure.
In fact, I'm a lawyer and I'm conducting a pretty unusual investigation.
Investigation, huh? Hey, I'm just a station master. I don't know too much about anything.
Well, you never know. Anybody could be significant in this case.
See, nobody actually tells me anything, so my hands are totally clean.
I never implied they weren't. I feel like I've lost my way a little here. I could really do with your help.
Hey, anything I can do, miss, you just let me know.
The name Hans Voralberg doesn't mean anything to you by chance, does it?
Oh, do you really think I'd remember one little name from the thousands that pass through this station?
It seems that your superiors object to the presence of my train in the station. Not exactly easygoing, are they?
Well, it's not that they're difficult to please, but I find that the less I have to do with them, the better things are. Get my drift? Birds, more peaceful than employers. And respect for the regulations. Now that brings peace of mind.
All these birds in a station. It's amazing.
This is no ordinary station, miss. Oh, no. These birds are part of the prestigious University of Barrockstadt Ornithological Collection. Over the years, this aviary has housed some of the most fantastic species from all over the world. And I am not exactly your typical station master either. This little world is my responsibility, and that is no easy task.
I can well believe you.
And you know what's the hardest? The hardest thing is to keep interspecial harmony. And one day some explorer introduced a couple of cuckoos from the Amazon. Whoa!
It wasn't a good idea?
A nightmare! You know, cuckoos lay their eggs in the nests of other species, right? Now, what's more, they also push the host's eggs out of the nest so that they receive all the mother's attention, right? Accursed cuckoos. Nightmare.
I see what you mean. That's one tricky bird. And there was nothing you could do to stop it?
The faculty declared the bird a protected species. If it wasn't for our mechanical eagle, we were sitting on a major ornithological catastrophe.
You have an automaton here?
A wonder of technology. It's an eagle that's mounted on rails in the air. It passes through and it swoops down to collect parasite eggs. But heck, the dang eagle's been out of order for several years. Impossible to collect the eggs myself.
Why not?
I can't climb up the gangway. I fell off it several months back and I still have a pain in my spine. Not to mention the vertigo I've been getting. I only have to look up in the air. Whoa.
You poor soul. That must be very hard.
Worst thing is, cuckoo eggs piling up in the nests. Soon the rectors are gonna notice. There's trouble in store, big trouble. I'm worried. Yep, worried.
Where might I find some forest Sauvignon plants, please?
No place around here, that's for sure. I don't know what you're talking about. That stuff's from the Amazon.
You know, for someone who knows nothing about the plant, you seem pretty well informed about which mysterious faraway country it comes from.
Oh, Amazon, Peru, Papua New Guinea, it's all the same to me. Gotta go. Gotta work.
Wait, don't go! You know what? I don't think he was being totally straight with me. Excuse me, Station Master, but I need you again.
Can't you see I am very, very busy?
No.
Well, I am. Very busy indeed. But, okay, I think I can give you a minute of my time.
I'm looking for a kind of little juicy berry. You don't know where I could find some?
Look, lady, the station doesn't have any Sauvignon berries, not even forest Sauvignon.
Funny you should mention it. That's exactly what I was looking for. Forest Sauvignon.
Sauvignon, raspberries, red currants, they're all the same to me. And we don't grow none of them here.
But you see, I have just read a very interesting book which says that the rare Sauvignon berry is actually cultivated here, in the famous Barrockstadt University aviary itself.
Well, if it's in a book, then don't believe everything you read, miss.
I don't know why, but I don't think you're telling me the truth.
What do you mean? I don't know. How should I know where to find your stupid grape? Go ask your professor, what's his name, Pons, the paleontologist.
But you're the master of this station, so you should know better than anyone.
Nobody tells me anything. I don't know. Go see the old guy with the fossils.
I won't disturb you any longer, Mr. Station Master.
Welcome to Barrockstadt, miss.
Do excuse me, Professor. Professor, sorry to disturb you again.
What is it you want to know, miss?
You wouldn't know where the forest Sauvignon plants are kept in Barrockstadt, would you?
Why do you think there are Sauvignon plants here?
I read about it in a book at the library.
Try going to see the station master. If such a shrub exists, he will have a better idea than anyone.
It's actually he who sent me to you. I thought it a little strange, but he definitely said ask the paleontologist. You're the only one here, aren't you?
Yes indeed. What a strange way to behave. Well, I think he must have made a mistake, that's all. Nobody tells me anything here. Maybe you should ask the rectors. After all, they are in charge of the university.
All right, thanks. I'll leave you in peace. I hope I haven't disturbed you too much.
Sorry? No, not at all, my dear child.
Do excuse me, Professor. Professor, sorry to disturb you again. Professor, I have brought you something that should be of interest to you. Look.
What have you got there, then? Let's see. An effigy of a mammoth. But this is Hans' doll, is it not? Yes, of course it is. How on earth did you... Oh, my God. It's in my hands. It exists. It really exists. Please do excuse me. I'm deeply moved.
You see? Your Hans and my Voralberg heir are one and the same.
This is incredible. After all these years, how can I ever thank you, my dear? Oh, I must waste no time. I'm off to my laboratory. I must study this carefully. May I borrow your treasure a moment?
Well, actually,
Don't worry, miss. I will take the greatest care of it. But I need to study it. You see, it has such importance to me that this very afternoon I shall deliver an impromptu lecture to my students about this very object. If you are interested in Hans Voralberg, then it is essential that you attend.
do you think so?
Obviously. Give me your telephone number and I will call you the moment my lecture begins. I will return you your doll at the end. You have my word.
Gentlemen, forgive me for disturbing you again, but...
A little prop.
They are kept.
Nor trick. Here we are.
Already?
Thank you.
And thank... Gentlemen...
A little prop.
They are kept to one set.
Nor trains from leaving stations.
Are you sure there are no Amazon Sauvignon plants in Barrockstadt? Because I have just interviewed the station master and the paleontologist, and what they said really didn't convince me that there wasn't any here.
We are quite definite on this point. There are no Sauvignon plants growing in Barrockstadt.
You see, miss, the Amazon Forest Sauvignon is a rare shrub that requires very special conditions for growth.
That's right. Conditions that are very hard to reproduce, believe you me.
Difficult, but not impossible. Fortunately, our garden has proved very successful.
Your garden? So, there is a garden in Barrockstadt?
Oh, the garden. Well, if there was one, it would be only a little garden hidden behind the station. But our station master would be very proud of it.
He would take very good care of it, too. Everything would grow marvelously if we were able to cultivate it at all, and it would be all down to his gardening prowess.
And we would be proud as punch. And we wouldn't forget the role the paleontologist might play in this.
What's the paleontologist got to do with it all?
Without him and without his laboratory, how would we make the wine, do you think?
And it would be good wine indeed, my dear colleagues, would it not?
Oh, yes, a delightful balm to soothe away our long hours of toil and our heavy responsibilities.
We would wait impatiently every year for the arrival of the year's produce.
So, if I have understood you correctly, there are indeed Sauvignon plants in Barrockstadt. They are cultivated in a garden behind the station, then turned into wine by the paleontologist's loving care, and finally, the pleasure of tasting is yours. If I'm not very much mistaken, gentlemen, you have a minor racket operating here.
Miss, you do go jumping to some hasty conclusions.
We never said that. That's not what we said at all.
We were talking in the conditional, you know, with ifs and woulds.
So, what would happen if I had such a hunch?
You would have to keep it to yourself, of course.
Yes, if you would be so kind as to keep it a secret. It would only be a small local concern producing barely a few bottles every year.
That's right, nothing so grandiose as a business. Otherwise, we'd be liable to be fined. So, we can't count on your discretion, can't we?
Don't worry, I have no intention at all of getting messed up in anything.
Here we are, busy chatting.
Already?
Thank you.
And thank... Excuse me, Station Master, but I need you again.
Can't you see I am very, very busy?
No.
Well, I am. Very busy indeed. But, okay, I think I can give you a minute of my time.
You have been playing with me, haven't you? You knew very well there were forest Sauvignon berries in the station garden.
No, not at all. I've never seen your Sauvignon thing.
You don't have to lie to me. I know all about it. You and the rectors are in cahoots, and the professor's lab has been turned into a distillery. You've all got a nice little smuggling racket on the side.
Smuggling racket? Hey, lady, you're going a bit far there. It's just a little on-the-side thing we got going, that's all. It's just for ourselves. Hey, honest.
You should be ashamed of yourselves. Aren't you worried about the reputation of this fine university? The authorities should be informed of this.
But we haven't done anything wrong. It's not a crime.
Can you open the gate to the garden, please?
Sure. No problemo. Right away, miss. we are. Please feel free to visit the garden at your leisure. And there was just one thing. I'm not a liar. Not really. Just mum's the word. There is the reputation of the university to think about. And I have superiors, and I have to do what I can.
I understand. Don't you worry.
Thank you, miss.